There's a new moon in Libra on September 26, just after equinox. But I'm in like day 10 or 11 of the flu. So I'm going to try to do this different this month. Here's the sun and moon, new moon. And it's in those very early degrees of Libra because it's just after equinox. Equinox is the time where the seasons and the earth and the cycles of the sun and moon are trying to find the right balance. It's when the day forces of the sun are exactly equal to the night forces of the moon. All over the world, everything is seeking balance. If you're in the northern hemisphere, you'll be sliding into autumn. The balance is tipping towards the moon. Here in the southern hemisphere, we're looking at the sun becoming stronger. It's the beginning of spring, the jasmine's out, the wattle's out, and in Melbourne, the rain falls horizontal because of the crazy wind. Equinox is that time of breathing space, of transition, where you clear out what's gone before and balance the books. And that's what Libra is all about. Finding balance and harmony, and doing that with some form of artistry or refinement. It's diplomatic. This Libra new moon, I'm calling the chopstick new moon, because opposite, we've got Jupiter here in Aries. And snuggled up close, we've got Venus and Mercury, opposite Neptune. And these oppositions are kind of like chopsticks. And shout out to Spiritual Growth Tarot as well, who uses the magic chopsticks in her readings. The thing with chopsticks is you have to keep one of the rods really strong and straight and let the other one do the manoeuvring. In this case, we've got sun and moon opposite Jupiter. This is making you feel bold and courageous, and something coming from outside of you is inviting you to speak up or pull something into line, take command. With Jupiter over here, you can see it. You can see this large energy, this loud, boisterous energy. And in Aries, it's a bit maybe aggressive, certainly assertive. That's what you're being asked to do. Libra doesn't like to make ruffles, but she is about justice and fairness. Maybe the fairness has gone too doormatty or too easygoing, letting things slide under the carpet. This moon phase is shoving some kind of big personality in your face and saying, call their bluff. Release the hot air. Stop trying to balance things. Make a decision and move forward with it. This one also gives a bit of stability. So if you're feeling overwhelmed or really put upon overdoing it, there's some kind of action or circumstance that's going to come in over next weekend and stack things up to get the balance right. The other part of our chopstick moon is Venus and Mercury, sidling up to the moon in a conjunction. And yet, it's an out-of-sign conjunction. These guys are in Libra, and these guys are snuggled up at the end of Virgo, where they're more focused in on the Virgoian analysis. They're interested in the data, in the background, in the details. That's going to help Libra make this decision and stop swinging. Our Virgo, Venus and Mercury are the other part of the chopstick, down here opposite Neptune. And when you've got planets opposite Neptune, it throws a veil over everything. Neptune is the god of the sea, and it's slippery and changeable. It's really hard to pick up and really hard to pin down. So while these guys are wanting detail and an analysis, Neptune is just clouding and fogging, and meaning that when you put your hand in, it kind of sinks through. There's not stability there. There's flexibility. This guy's a flexible sign too. There's flexibility, but we really need our Jupiter-Sun-Moon opposition to hold a rigid state or a clear boundary, a clear set of protocols, a clear program and process so that this one can get flexible and find the analysis. With Neptune here, the shade is being thrown. It's a bit he said, she said, and things not being remembered clearly. That's why we need Virgo to get the facts right. Go through your documentation. Go through your old emails. The answers will be there, even though Neptune has something to hide. Neptune and Mercury are like really problematic. It's just confused thinking and easy to get caught up in illusion and delusion and fantasy, easily to get caught up in the hype. On the other hand, Neptune and Venus really love each other. And what it could bring up is actually a beautiful Neptunian surprise. Something you thought that had slipped through your fingers that can now be resurrected or given to you in a different way. At the last moon, the Pisces full moon, Neptune and Juno had come together with the moon opposite the sun. And it cast a veil with transformative process, churning away underneath that veil. For me, that process turned out to be the flu. And I lost days, I lost nights. I don't really know what happened, but some transformative process is going on. That Pisces full moon brought in a huge culmination, the end of a big cycle with a clean out that needs underneath it. In one of those perfect astrology correlations, Queen Elizabeth II passed away pretty much at the moment of the full moon, opening up a transformative process that one has helped the British people open up and share their grief, release their emotions, and feel their connection. It's also opened up a transformative process for the countries and the peoples who were affected by British colonialism. Neptune highlights the rituals and the ceremony and the symbolism of that change and the shift of the new monarch coming in. Thanks to Steve Judd Astrology, shout out to Steve Judd as well, that at the moment the Queen passed, Charles became king. The full moon had also reached its culmination, meaning that the moon had become void and has a kind of aimless drifting quality until it lines up with another aspect in a few hours' time. Normally in astrology, when there's a void of the moon's course, golden rule is don't sign anything, don't commit to anything, don't make big plans or decisions, especially those involving contracts, because there's kind of nothing anchoring that contract into reality. Mercury was also retrograde, another kind of tricky sign. As King Charles was signing documents, classic Mercury retrograde, the pen wouldn't work and he put the wrong date. But let's get back to the Libran moon. Our chopsticks moon. At the moment, Mercury's retrograde, but it will come back and become opposite Jupiter. And this stability that we're looking for at the moment, to see something that's right in your face and have a go at it, is going to go backwards and forwards, swinging on the scales, trying to find the right justice, trying to find the right words, trying to find the right relationships. Venus and Mercury in Virgo is not overly romantic, although the signature of this will be things like money, conversations, contracts, promises, partnerships and communication. And everyone's trying to get their point across, but not really listening. This aspect can feel like a betrayal because Neptune can deceive and throw secrets and a glamour, distort the truth. The conversations that are going to be happening over the next week will be making sure that you're on the right page. Where have you got things in common rather than where are you splitting apart? It could be secret crushes, it could be a secret affair or a flirtation. Something will burst through a little bubble and get your mind ticking, going back over the history, back over the details, back through your email box and sorting out the pattern. This opposition is also really creative. It's inspired. There's music, there's writing, photography, communicating and expressing a desire. So to really use this aspect well, instead of launching in and blowing the cover and walking through Neptune, which, you know, you can't really find your feet, you just sink through the truth. Channel that into journaling, channel that into meditation, channel that into your faith and your hope, because that's the thing that's going to come up and help you find that balance. Pluto's down here, and it's got a really beautiful link, not only to Neptune here, but up here to Venus and Mercury. So Pluto is also anchoring you in. It's a big, heavy planet of reality, life, birth, death, control, loss, the big stuff of life. This one is looking at loyalty, and maybe the loyalty right now is about the loyalty to yourself. When do you have to put yourself first without abusing the power? With Neptune being supported by Pluto's sense of reality, whatever conflict is coming up, you've got a sense of the depth and the pain of this is turning into spiritual growth. And that's going to take you deeper into your faith and your spirituality. This is a good time to study spiritual things or have a therapist, investigate psychology, to get underneath at what your real motivations, what really sets your creativity and opens you to a higher level of understanding. So these blue lines are really holding the space here for Libra to find her balance, find the common ground, come back from being too easygoing and get that stability between Jupiter and the Sun. We've also got another set of chopsticks in the chopstick moon, and that's coming from Saturn with Vesta just near it, down here in Aquarius. Here's our chopsticks here. Beautiful positive line up to Mars in Gemini, and a really crunchy, crappy square to Uranus and the North Node over here in Taurus. This one is the fixed part of the chopstick. This one is the flow and the flexibility that's going to have you grabbing at what you want. Mars makes you go out and grab what you want. However, Mars is going to be spending 6 months in Gemini, uncharacteristically, and is slowing right down to a stall, and then around the end of October, Mars will turn retrograde and slowly track all the way through to about here, and then move forward again. And by March 2023, Mars will be moving finally into Cancer. So we've got all this activity in this part of the chart. Up until that end of October, Mars is looking to fire, but as we've said, this is not the time to launch things. Fire up, get your justice and your balance right, but don't expect conclusive action until pretty much March next year, if you're looking for this official endorsement that you need from Saturn, a definitive boundary, a definitive official stamp saying what's moving on and what's not going to move on. This is why right now you're having conversations about, are we on the right page? Are we moving in the right direction? And again, I just keep getting the feeling, go back through your emails, go back through the evidence that you've collected in written form, in spoken form, go back to the blueprint. What was it that inspired you to take on this mission in the first place? Because Saturn here, the god of authority and getting things right and being fairly harsh and punitive in order to protect what it wants, is being a bit flowy, ready to make amends, ready to put some work into creating a new structure. But that's the flexible part of our chopstick. This bit, the rigid bit, Uranus and North Node, square Saturn, has been such a feature of this year and last year. It's creating tension and upheaval. It was connected with the lockdowns during the pandemic. It was connected to the freedom movement. It's been connected to Black Lives Matter movements and protests. And it's this jostling position between law and order and revolution, wanting to break free, really putting pressure to smash through boundaries and set up a new structure. Because we're looking at Taurus, we know this real tension is being played out in things like territory, money, finances, day-to-day stuff, day-to-day work, and ultimately possession of the body. It's consent. Who gave consent? These are the issues that are coming up now. Uranus is rebellious next to Saturn's very linear, straight lines and hierarchy. So there is rebellion in the air. And with this pushback, there's resistance and tension to create a new structure. If we pull back a bit and just look at the shape of the chart, we've almost got a kite pattern. But it's a wonky kite. It's not one that can really get off the ground. And this is also a reason why it's not a time to launch. There's too many retrograde planets. There's too much of this Uranus-Saturn tension, pulling and pushing. Instead of launching over this moon phase, find the balance. Clean up the mess left behind of the last few months. Go back and find the data. Go back over your old correspondences and do the analysis. Although our chopsticks have one part rigid and one part flexible, you need this flexibility to get through this next 6 months while Mars is going to slow down and go retrograde. And at the same time, underneath this, there's a galvanizing action. It's not about launching. It's about preparing yourself. It's about finding your inner strength. Half these planets are retrograde. This strength has to come from within yourself. It's the spiritual warrior that you're really looking for here that's going to bring about this Libran balance, a sense of fairness and justice. Hold yourself strong, guys. We're getting through it. And by early next year, Pluto's going to just be stepping into Aquarius and things are going to start to look really different. A whole new vibe. I'm Merryl Key, and this is my mystery school. Like, follow, share and subscribe. Watch my other videos, or if you want to learn more, go to my website www.merrylkey.com. Happy Equinox, everyone all over the world. Find your balance. Blessed be.